Swadika, very good evening and welcome to Thai PBS World Tonight. I'm Nabunag.
I'm Tulip Naik Sompop Lao.
We'll begin tonight with some alarming news about the COVID-19 vaccine because a 46-year-old Thai woman died last night just hours after receiving the AstraZeneca vaccine shot. According to the woman's niece, who took her to the vaccination site at the Thai Business Administration Technological College in Bangkok, the woman had a headache and developed mild fatigue when she returned home. She then took 2 paracetamol tablets in the evening, followed by her migraine medication about 4 hours later. And for about 15 minutes later after that, she had a seizure and lost consciousness. An ambulance was called, but she was found dead when it arrived. An autopsy is to be conducted at Bhumibol Adulyadej Hospital to determine the exact cause of the death, while a police investigation is underway. Public Health Minister Anutin Charnvirakul has expressed condolences to the woman's family and assured the public of a detailed follow-up on this case to determine if there is a link between the death and the vaccine, stressing that a few undesirable or unexpected effects may occur in mass inoculations. So far, almost 2 million doses of AstraZeneca vaccine have been delivered for administration in Thailand, 1.8 million of which were locally produced by Siam Bioscience. The Thai government has procured up to 61 million AstraZeneca doses, 800,000 of which are expected to be delivered next week. Now let's look at the COVID-19 figures for today. Thailand recorded 2,680 new cases and 35 new fatalities, and that brings the total infections in the latest outbreak to 156,000. And so far, more than 5.1 million vaccine doses have been administered to date. Over 1.4 million people have received 2 doses. At the same time, the Bangkok Metropolitan Administration revealed that around 13,000 people in the capital were inoculated yesterday at 25 vaccination sites outside hospitals, and so far around 25,000 have been inoculated in Bangkok during the first 2 days of the mass vaccination. So the news of the death of this woman is very alarming here because previously we've been hearing a lot about the side effects of the AstraZeneca vaccines, which made a lot of people really scared. And with this case, I'm pretty sure that many people are wondering what will be the follow-up on this case as well.
According to the conversation with a nurse, she said that the younger people will tend to have more side effects from AstraZeneca because the body will fight whatever in the vaccine that get into their body. They have more strength to fight. Therefore, they will have higher fever. And some people have fever throughout the night until the next morning. And even though you take paracetamol, there's a chance that you still have mild fever throughout the night anyway. So talking about vaccine, the procurement in Thailand is one thing, the rollout in Thailand is another thing that we couldn't figure it out why we wouldn't be able to inoculate 10% of the population already when we start since the end of February. But today the CCSA has announced that they will involve more agencies in procurement of the vaccine so it can be faster. The COVID-19 vaccine procurements are expected to be expedited as more agencies will be involved in the joint effort. According to the CCSA new announcement streamlining the management of COVID-19 vaccines in Thailand. The announcement, which was published in the Royal Gazette yesterday, is to ensure access to the vaccines by at least 70% of the country's population, or 50 million people, and aimed at solving the host of problems which have beset the management of vaccines, which has come under heavy criticism from opposition parties, critics, and the public. The problems range from the monopolistic nature of vaccine procurement by the government, while the private sector is barred from importing vaccines, the limitation of current vaccines used of only AstraZeneca and Sinovac, the slow approval of new vaccines to delay deliveries of vaccines and reprioritization of vaccine distribution, resulting in postponements of inoculation appointments in several provinces. So under the new guidelines, detailed in the announcement, the procurement of vaccine is now the joint responsibility of Disease Control Department, the Government Pharmaceutical Organization, the National Vaccine Institute, the Thai Red Cross Society, the Julapon Royal Academy, and state agency responsible for providing medical and health services to the public. That's a lot of agencies together. But they have to work together to procure and import quality and effective vaccines which meet the standard requirements as a matter of urgency. So to improve public access to vaccines, private hospitals and the private sector may procure vaccines through the state agencies mentioned, but they must be approved for use in Thailand's Food and Drug Administration, and the prices charged by the public must be appropriate. If local administrations such as sub-district administration organization or provincial administration organization want vaccines for their people in their localities, they can procure them from the same state agencies in accordance with the regulations and vaccine management guidelines. So under the same guidelines, all public and private agencies are also urged to update information on the More Prom app. In related news, Julapon Royal Academy has revealed the price of Sinopharm vaccine. The shots will be 888 baht each. This price already includes shipping, storage, and side effect insurance costs. However, the price does not include medical service charges, which will depend on individual hospital. So this is the price of Sinopharm, 888 per shot. But if you are waiting for Moderna, I believe that yesterday the private hospital organization already announced that it will be 3,800 baht, includes everything, the insurance for side effect, the hospital fees, and the shots itself.
Right, and we're still on the issue with COVID-19 vaccines. Many expats are confused with when they should be vaccinated or how they should apply for the vaccination. And many government figures have already announced that all expats in Thailand can join the mass COVID-19 vaccinations, provided that they check arrangements before popping up at the vaccination sites where the supply of doses may be limited. And to be honest, most expats are very confused with what to do with this. But the latest tip from the Information Department Deputy Director General Natapanu Nopakul from the Foreign Affairs Ministry is look into details before going to the venues, because several inoculation schemes are being launched for foreigners, and each one with different conditions. And to give you a bit of a background, previously, Dr. Opa Gangawinpong, the Director General of the Disease Control Department, said that Thailand's mass inoculations has been designed to build herd immunity. He explained that there are 67 million Thais plus 3 million foreigners in Thailand. So to build herd immunity, we need to vaccinate at least 70% of the people. So this means 50 million people, including foreigners, must be vaccinated. So he said the aim is to administer 100 million jabs before the end of the year, and the rollout would certainly cover Thailand's foreign population. The authorities called on diplomats and staff from international organizations in Thailand to register for the jabs through the Thailand Interfact website between June 1st and June 6th. The registrants are now receiving their first shots at Med Park Hospital or Wimut Hospital in Bangkok. Foreigners who are over 60 years old or have any of the 7 chronic conditions that increase their risk of developing severe COVID-19 symptoms can register for vaccination at the Thailand Interfact website. People with the following conditions will be prioritized. Those are the people with severe chronic respiratory disease, coronary artery disease, chronic kidney disease, especially on the 5th stage, stroke, cancer being treated with chemotherapy, diabetes, and obesity. However, the U.S. Embassy has advised Americans to first try and register at the hospital that holds their medical records. And to register for a shot, Foreigners must provide their social security number linked to their work permit or their passports. Meanwhile, there are many provinces that have launched their own vaccination schemes, and foreigners in holiday destinations like Koh Samui, Chiang Mai, Hua Hin, and Phuket have different registration channels. Arrangements vary depending on the priorities set by relevant authorities. Companies can also book vaccines for their foreign staff through the Social Security Office. Although some foreigners in Thailand have already received their first jab, many others are still confused about how to get vaccinated. People who have successfully booked their jab should be aware that only 2 vaccine brands are currently available in Thailand. Those are Sinovac and AstraZeneca, and owing to limited supplies, it is unlikely that they will be given a choice. However, both vaccines, Sinovac and AstraZeneca, have been approved by the WHO for emergency use. And for those who prefer other brands, the Moderna vaccine is reportedly on its way. The Private Hospital Association has announced that full inoculation with the Moderna vaccine, including 2 doses, service fees, and insurance to cover possible side effects, will cost around 3,800 baht nationwide. And the first batch of the vaccine is expected to land in Thailand in October.
So if you want to wait for Moderna, October is 4 months away. And if you're a foreigner without congenital diseases or younger than 60 or weight less than 100 kilograms, chances the soonest you'll get your jabs will be in August. Unless your company is able to connect with the related agencies and able to provide you with the vaccinations.
Exactly. This is the sort of information we are able to provide at this moment, but it would be best to contact the embassy or check out the Thailand Intervac website in case you want to apply for the vaccination.
Now let's talk about people that already have been vaccinated. Samui Island said they are welcoming fully vaccinated domestic tourists without quarantine. They say they are welcoming all the tourists and doesn't have to go through 14 days quarantine. This according to the Samui Island District Chief Tirapong Choi-Chu. He said that there is a written announcement by Surat Thani Provincial Governor Vichwood Jinto dated Monday, June 7th, that the island is ready to welcome tourists who have received both doses of the COVID-19 vaccine and those with negative results issued no more than 72 hours prior to arrival, as more than 50% of the island's population have now been vaccinated. Hoping to revive the tourism industry on the island, the local authorities and tourist operators will discuss ways to promote tourism and to prepare for arriving domestic and international tourists. Thailand is to reopen to fully inoculated foreign tourists on July 1st without a quarantine requirement, starting with the resort island of Phuket under the Phuket Sandbox project. Initial requirements, pending the cabinet's approval, include staying in the SHA Plus certified hotels in Phuket for at least 14 days before being able to travel elsewhere in the country, installing a tracking app, and undergoing further COVID-19 tests. Bangkok, Krabi, Phang Nga, Surat Thani, Chiang Mai, Chonburi, Buriram, Phetchaburi, and Prachuap Khiri Khan are expected to adopt the Phuket model in October. So they don't call it quarantine, but it seems like you have to stay at the same hospital for 14 days. So if it's not quarantine, maybe there is some kind of special measures that the hotel has to do or has to implement it with their guests.
Now let's talk about another tourist destination that is Chiang Mai. And Chiang Mai has already decided to ease restrictions on eateries, malls, and convenience stores. Citing the low daily COVID-19 infection rate of fewer than 5 cases for the past 7 days, the Provincial Communicable Disease Committee of Chiang Mai has decided to ease some restrictions starting today. Permanent Secretary of the Chiang Mai Provincial Administration, Kanok Vichainan, said yesterday that the COVID-19 situation in the province has improved steadily. So the Provincial Communicable Disease Committee deemed it appropriate to allow the resumption of regular opening hours of department stores, convenience stores, shopping malls, community malls, night markets, and eateries. However, alcoholic drinks are still not permitted in eateries, including their outdoor facilities, and sales promotion activities, which may draw many people together, are still banned in malls and department stores. Other businesses and venues which have been closed since May the 16th will remain closed. These include pubs, bars, karaoke bars, gyms, cinemas and theaters, soapy massage parlors and bathhouses, snooker parlors, bowling alleys, game arcades or gaming parlors, internet cafes, martial arts schools, tattoo parlors, dance halls, and dance schools. As for the cumulative infections in Chiang Mai since the third wave of the pandemic began on April 1st, it has reached 4,107 cases for that particular province, but most of them have recovered, leaving 59 cases still under treatment in hospitals. The provincial death toll is 26, and so far 197,000 people in the province have applied for vaccinations.
Okay, so Chiang Mai is easing their restriction, but Bangkok is still under restriction. And a lot of restaurants just taking only 25% of their capacity, so they are really facing a hard time right now. And talking about restaurants and hotels in many provinces in Thailand during the semi-lockdown, they try to adapt themselves. They try to have new promotion, have new menu, do something with the delivery. We are talking about this also a hotel in Cham district of Phetchaburi province that they adapt themselves during the pandemic. They're selling Thai breakfast at a very affordable price for only 30 baht. The restaurant called I Love Sweet by the Long Beach Hotel adapted to the closure of selling affordable Thai breakfast from mushroom congee, rice porridge with pork balls, and chicken rice porridge to pork blood tofu soup. All of them are priced at only 30 baht per serving. It's about $1. The breakfast shop has been open for a week, which has helped ease the staff burden and earn some income. Now let's take a listen to the restaurant owner.
ตรงนี้ก็ให้พนักงานมาทำงานบ้างแล้วว่าคือช่วยรายได้ให้กับบริษัทอะไรพวกนี้ครับทางโรงแรมครับผมเพราะช่วงนี้โรงแรมก็ยังปิดอยู่นะครับผมเพราะว่าผลกระทบจากโควิดนี่นะครับผมทีนี้ว่าก็ทางร้านไอเลิฟก็เราก็ยังเปิดให้บริการอยู่ปกติครับผมมีมาตรการทุกอย่างครับผมเกี่ยวกับความปลอดภัยโรคโควิดนะครับผม
Meanwhile, the owner of a massage parlor and former entertainment venue musician in the resort town of Pattaya is using his skating skills to sell coconut shakes to make a living during the crisis. He revealed that he has invested 7,000 baht and practiced his skateboarding skills to sell coconut shakes at places where people go skateboarding priced at 40 baht. He managed to sell 20 to 30 drinks a day. He also said that he earns the money to pay his staff at the massage parlor apart from his own expenses. He still hopes that tourists will return to Pattaya when the situation improves. So everybody is trying to adapt, everybody trying to survive right now, especially you can see that in the food and service industry and also hospitality industry, they are really trying really hard. And a lot of them already closed down though.
Exactly, but I like the idea of the selling coconut shakes and skateboarding at the same time. That's pretty creative here, and it's really successful for him because he managed to sell 20 to 30 drinks a day. And now let's move on to Home Away. And on this edition of Home Away, we interviewed a British doctor, Dr. Donna Robinson, who will reveal how she achieved the Thai medical license to be able to work as a general practitioner in Thai hospitals, and why she believes that the third wave of the COVID-19 pandemic won't tarnish Thailand's reputation as a medical tourism destination.
สวัสดีค่ะ ดิฉันแพนมอร์ดอนน่าโรบินสันจากประเทศอังกฤษค่ะ
Dr. Donna relocated to Thailand 30 years ago. It was when her husband worked on the major infrastructure project in Bangkok. She was offered work with an NGO. Her life changed, and it was a huge culture shock for her. Dr. Donna couldn't work as a doctor in this country unless she obtained the Thai medical license.
It was a culture shock. I had lived in New Zealand and Hong Kong, but I was working in my regular job as a doctor, which is a good routine. But coming here, I didn't realize I was going to be writing proposals and projects for HIV and other public health type of work.
She decided to take the bull by the horns and did the medical license course at Chulalongkorn University, hoping she would be able to do the job she was passionate about.
In Thailand, expats will gossip and say, oh, no, you can't do this. But in actual fact, you can call up a government department or anyone and say, oh, what if I was to try this? Could I do it? Can you help me? And you'll usually get a very sensible and helpful answer. So I decided, in fact, I think I saw the dean at Chulalongkorn and said I would like to try for the medical license, even though it could be difficult. And they said, well, look, come here, here's an attachment, you could study this, this and this. And at the same time, I had a private teacher too. So you can achieve a lot in this country.
It took her only 2 years to excel in the Thai language, pass the exam, and be able to work as a doctor in the Thai hospital.
At Chulalongkorn, I would practice. You would go on ward rounds and listen to tutorials, and the other doctors and nurses were always so helpful, explaining things in Thai, and I would look at Thai past question papers. I even used to carry a Thai dictionary, Prachananukra, around then. But I remember there was very useful courses at the time at Sirira Hospital. There was a course, and you had to practice practical things in certain stations. It was similar to the UK exam, but doing it all over again. And I learned so much anyhow, it was worthwhile.
She has useful advice for new expats that even though it's very difficult, you will find your own niche eventually.
The other thing is I tell everybody, and often their patients, the people who find it hard, maybe the first 6 months after they've moved here, and then these are the people that usually go through some difficulty and then they really settle in. And these are the people who want to stay here forever, like me.
There are several factors that make Thailand's healthcare system outstanding, one of which is the passion and dedication of the medics.
I see people coming here from other parts of Asia, often military people as well, coming from the Middle East for regular checkups, and they come here. It's located, Bangkok is a central, anyhow, part of Southeast Asia, and combining with that, you've got a lot of competition. The hospitals are JCI, Joint Commission International accredited, the highest level. So everybody wants to follow the best international standard, or you would look pretty out of the picture if you weren't doing the same as all the other hospitals in Bangkok and all over Thailand. Price-wise too, it's competitive. And you learn from them too. The other thing is you've got great customer service. It's a natural in Thailand, the customer service. And the quality of care. The doctors too, and they're great to work with. I learn every day. And the doctors too, they don't want to retire here. They're my inspiration. They love their work. I think I've just become so tired after 30 years.
Thailand was placed 6th in the world in terms of the strongest health security, according to the 2019 Global Security Index report. Another country from Asia is South Korea, ranked 9th. Dr. Donna believes that Thailand is still a medical hub in the region, despite struggling to cope with the third wave of COVID-19.
Well, I think the vaccines are progressing. Definitely look at Phuket and the numbers will drop. So your point of your question is, will Thailand lose because the numbers are rising? So I believe the numbers will decrease and the vaccine rollout will go pretty fast. Already it's starting to gain pace. Many times you think, what are they doing? But suddenly Thailand comes out tops and they surprise everybody. So I still have confidence.
And that was a lot of hard work, learning Thai language, to take the test to be a general practitioner in Thailand. I mean, Thai language, even difficult for Thai people.
Exactly. And it's really interesting how Dr. Donna has a lot of hope for Thailand as being the medical tourism destination despite the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yes, and that's all the news we have for you in this edition of Thai PBS World Tonight. You can follow us on our social media. We have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, or you can read any other news we cover on our website, www.thaipbsworld.com.
And that wraps up tonight's edition of Thai PBS World Tonight. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ